Greetings. So we continue our conversation about this whole idea of discomfort and fear, change, transformation, all that stuff. And today we're specifically talking about how stepping out of our comfort zone leads directly into transformation. How we transition from one aspect of our lives, how we transition from one belief system, how we transition from whatever that is, how we transition from to, how the caterpillar transitions from to butterfly. So there's this idea of comfort and the comfort zone. And the interesting thing is, based on my observation within New Thought, is we love people to be comfortable to such a degree that we are willing to be out of integrity. And in so doing, what we are creating is a transactional spiritual practice rather than a transformative one. Now, let's pause and breathe and take this in for a second. Think of your own life and various things that have changed. And understand that there's a spectrum of, there's the things that change every day that don't necessarily cause us discomfort. And yet somehow we speak about change as though all change is whatever that is. Rather than saying, well, wait a minute. If I'm already engaging in daily changes, just in general, already, I change what I eat. I may change how I eat. I change how many times I chew. Like there's all of these things that are changing. The thing that I started with as ingredients changed and became the meal, and then I consumed it. So the meal changed as it went into my mouth and then my body, and it changed into energy, and it changed into, and I let it go. And we already engage in change every day, all day. How many of us change our clothes? Right? We change consistently, but it's this one specific aspect or realm of change that gives us the angst. What is it about that change? Now, let's go back to the regular everyday changes kind of thing for a moment. When someone has to change in terms of they're relocating where they live, why is that change uncomfortable? You may change your occupation. What is it about that that is uncomfortable? You may change status within an occupation, or like, what is it about those particular things that cause discomfort? Now, I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to pause and really think about it for a second, though. What is it about some change, the way some things change, the way some transitions occur? Because once again, it's not all transitions that bother us. When I put water into the coffee pot, it transitions from one temperature to a hotter temperature so that I have a hot cup of coffee to drink from, to consume. I don't have a problem with that transition. I don't have a problem with the transition of sunrise and sunset. The amount of light transitions. I don't have a problem with transition from one episode of Marvel's What If to the next episode of, I don't have a problem with these transitions. Transition from scene to scene, transition from chapter to chapter. We already engage in transitions, but there are particular transitions. There are particular changes that cause us discomfort that cause us to resist being in the very flow of the transformation. But why? What is it? What is it really about that? In general, somewhere in there, there's a fear. There's a fear of something. Now, what that could be, it depends. Person to person, it varies. Some, I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of being unhoused again. I'm afraid of, there's all kinds of things that fear. And I want to, before we get there, I'm going to share, there's a Dr. Holmes quote, a quote from Dr. Holmes, where he says, God is more completely expressed through the person who lives largely more so than through the one who lives meagerly. Fear, here we go. Here's the big part. Fear is a belief in limitation. Fear is a denial that the divine is the center and the source of all good. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to poke the sacred cow. I understand exactly what he's talking about. And yes, to a certain degree, I agree. But fear, once again, is on a spectrum as well. There's life affirming fear and there's life denying fear. Life affirming fear is what gives us the ability to have adrenaline and other chemicals rush through our body to get us out of a burning building or to avoid that dark alley at midnight or whatever that is. That's biological, instinctual fear. It is life affirming. It is there to save and preserve life. Non-life affirming fear, I'm afraid they won't like me. They won't like what I'm wearing. They won't like how I'm dressed. I'm afraid of fear of success, fear of failure. Worry is a degree of fear, etc. Those are non-life affirming. So when Dr. Holmes is saying fear is a belief in limitation, it is a denial that the divine is the center and the source of all good. Well, it depends on what we are doing with the fear. Are we talking life affirming, life denying? What is it that we are allowing the fear? If I am worshiping at the altar of fear to such a degree that I am not trust, then yes, I'm clearly denying that that which is God is the source of all, clearly. But what is my invitation? How do I transform? Well, one, it's being present. Same thing we talked about last week. First of all, I've got to be present and recognize this is fear, and then name, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? And go there. When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer year before last, we're in 2024 now. When I was diagnosed in 2022 with prostate cancer, fear came up. Had to sit with it. What am I afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of all that. Yeah, okay, move through it. What am I? I'm afraid. What am I? Move through it. Keep going. Afraid death. That's the ultimate fear. I'm afraid of death. Well, now let's really explore. To what degree do you believe in what we say within this teaching? We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. That's what it says in the we believe statements, the Declaration of Principles. Okay, do you believe that? Because therein lies the work. If I believe it, then it gives me something to now address and face the fear. Feel it, and then bring what is the tools, the practices, the principles, bring it to this. And it doesn't mean the fear is going to automatically be gone, but it now means I have something that can hold the fear. And in holding it, there's comfort. In holding it, there's nurturing. In holding it, the fear isn't as prominent as it was before. But do I really believe this? Do I want to believe it? I say I do. I say I believe it. I say I believe. I believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of my individual soul forever and ever expanding, except, or I believe it when everything is going well. And then when things aren't going well, do I really believe it? So therein lies the practice. Do I believe this? If I do, use it. If I don't, go deeper into this. Why don't I? What is the invitation then? Because I'm not going to be able to move out of my comfort zone until I address. Many, many years ago, when I went to school to become a public school teacher, an art teacher specifically, the first time, because I was a public school teacher twice in my life. And you have to take a public speaking course, right? That was part of my bachelor's program. And speaking in public terrified me. Did you hear me? I say it terrified. It terrified me. Terrified. To the degree when I gave my first speech in class, I got lightheaded, hot neck, my knees. I was like, and Dr. Hopkins said, Ray, sit down before you fall down, because I was getting ready to pass out. The fear overcame me. What was I afraid of? Now, who knows then? I have no idea. I mean, I could presuppose I was afraid of rejection, and I was afraid of all kinds of things back then. I was afraid of my own shadow some of the time back then. But in general, it's, what am I afraid of in speaking in public? What am I afraid of when I started, getting involved in theater? What am I afraid of when I moved from Pittsburgh to Richmond, Virginia? What was I afraid of? All of these things. Because without addressing any of them, I'm going to simply be comfortable. Yep. No, I'm good. Yep. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. I ain't no rocking the boat, ain't no tip the boat, baby, ain't no, nope, I'm good. Well, how is there growth without challenge? In order for me to get 1 + 1 = 2, there's a risk that I will, let's see, if I carry the 2 and add the 1 divided by the 7, quantum theory of A divided by B, 1 + 1 = 2. Oh, that's wrong, man. It's not when the alphabet comes in. To get whatever this answer is, there is the risk that, quote unquote, it may be wrong. Put a little bit of this in there and a little bit of that and dice this up and stir it in and fold it and bake it. And, oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Oof. Whoo, that's definitely, hold on. In order to get whatever that cake, that souffle, that whatever that dish is, I've never made this before. I'm following the recipe. I don't know. I was a little heavy-handed with the cayenne pepper. Who knew? It said a dash. Well, dash. I don't know what a dash is when it comes to sprinkles. I know a dash, but even a dash, dashing through I don't know. In order to get the meal, I run the risk of messing it up. Once, twice, 3 times. Yes, I messed it up 3 times. Maybe the 4th time is the charm. Nope, because it's still nasty. Nope. Well, let me figure something else out. In order to get whatever this is, you run the risk. George Lucas ran the risk that Star Wars would have been a flop. Right? Walt Disney ran the risk of Disney, he ran the risk. They ran the risk. We run the risk in order for there to be equity and justice In order for there to be a civil rights movement, the women's suffragist movement, in order for there to be equity and justice, we run the risk of it not being, quote unquote, perfect, of there being conflict, of there being friction. It's not going to be smooth all the time. Getting out, smooth sailing. Well, the water isn't always going to be smooth. The wind isn't always going to be gentle. Sometimes the waters are choppy and rough. Sometimes that's how the minnow, it was lost, right? That it happens. Does that mean we're never going to? Well, no. If you're going to get a boat, then the boat is meant to go out into the. If you're going to get into the spaceship, it's meant to go. If you're going to put an S on your chest and a cape, then there's stuff that comes with this. There's stuff that comes with the realization that you are the divine incarnating. Not every relationship is going to be. Sometimes we are going to have conversations with people and there's friction. Sometimes there's going to be conversations with people and there's just outright, I'm done. No, I'm done. Not every relationship is healthy. Not every relationship feels good. Not every relationship. So what do you do with that? Do you fake it and pretend? Or do you move into a space of, there's something I am choosing to practice in this? And in the moving forward, in the transformational opportunity that is right now before me, that is occurring within me, I choose grace. I choose forgiveness. I choose to burn this bridge and find another way around. I choose whatever it is, but it's based upon the truth of our being and the tools and practices that we have access to, so that we are living in integrity with spiritual principles. And spiritual principles, while Dr. Holmes said, the whole thing about fear is a belief in limitation, I would remix that and say, fear can very well be a belief in limitation. But the question is, what are you afraid of? And what are you willing to do about it? Going camping and being afraid of that bear is not fear in the limitation of God. Because if I stand there and say, whoa, Mr. Bear, please don't you bite me. Please don't you do it. Like, what? Everybody else then got in the car and drove away. What are you doing? Why are you singing to the bear? That's not yogi. Stop. You're supposed to be afraid. Biological and innate. Go. Okay. So once again, the remix is, there are some fears that truly are a belief in limitation. So ask yourself, what is it you are afraid of? In what way is it limiting you? And what are you willing to do to transform? Because we talk about faith as though faith is a spectrum. Life-affirming faith builds and nurtures and moves. Non-life affirming faith is fear, and that stagnates us and holds us back. It is that limitation. But it's still faith. I am placing my faith in this, whatever it is. I'm afraid of snakes. Then I am using the energy of my faith to be afraid of, to feel fear, to have worry, anxiety, and angst regarding snakes. Right? Like it's that spectrum. Now that's a huge generality or generalization, but it's basically how we are choosing to apply the energy of our mental equivalents, our thoughts, our words, our emotions and feelings, and our actions. How am I using the energy of the divine within my life? Am I using it in, boogeyman? Or am I using it? Power, creativity, justice, equity in a world that works for all. How am I using it? It's the same power. Just like Bob Proctor used to talk about electricity. You can use electricity to light a lamp. You can use electricity to cook a meal. You can use electricity to electrocute someone to death. Still electricity, it's all electricity. But the question is, how are you applying it? So this week, our invitation is, where am I invited? Where am I called of myself? Where am I calling myself, inviting myself into that space of growth, which is, it's not comfortable in that space because I'm doing something new. I'm doing something I haven't done before. I'm trusting in a different way. I'm being more transparent or more vulnerable. And within there comes the risk that someone's not going to like me, or they're not going to like the play, or they're not going to like my singing, or they're not going to like my cologne, or they're going to judge me because of my tattoos, or they're going to judge me because of, and they don't like, and there's that, and there, of course, there's that. And I forgot about, yes, all of that comes with it. But are you going to choose to sequester yourself away and live within a closet of, no one can hurt me if I don't go outside, if I don't speak to people, if I'm not friends with people, if I don't engage or interact, then I'm safe? Well, yes, you very well may be, but you are also not living in a manner in which expresses your divine and your spiritual magnificence. You are, in essence, dimming your light and dimming your love and dimming your creative potential, and you're turning it all down. You're literally turning it down. Do you want this? No, I turn down my promotion. I turn down the opportunity to transform and evolve. I turn it down. I am comfortable. I am complacent. I acquiesce. Or are you willing to call forth a new level of courage and bravery, audacity, the audacity to live your best life, the audacity to care for and love yourself, the audacity to transform into greater and greater and greater iterations of this thing called God, which is incarnating as you. Transforming and letting go of the criticisms, the judgment, the guilt, the shame, letting go of all of this stuff that really isn't for your highest and best. Now, granted, there still may be things that show up. There may still be anxiety regarding public speaking. There still may be, like, all of that stuff may still be present. Yes. But it's no longer the controlling factor. It's no longer the thing that prevents you from moving forward. It's no longer the thing that holds you down and holds you back from living your best life out loud. It's still there, but it's not in control. You are. Breathe. So once again, our invitation, be comfortable and leave it at that. Or be courageous and grow and evolve and transform. I got ready to sing the theme song for Transformers. Let us call this a day. Namaste, much love and blessings, and I will see you soon.